Well, welcome to the recording for the copyright website assignment in the copyright law unit. So you can see the copyright website assignment right here. So I'm going to go over to it. Copyright website assignment. And remember, this unit is all about copyright, meaning how you're learning about what copyright is, what some of the rules of copyright are, and the rights that people have, and what you have to do if you want to use somebody else's information, the permission you have to get, and things like that. So the copyright website assignment. What you'll do with this assignment, you're going to save it to your Unit 3 folders. Unit 3 folder, you're going to make a 2-page website. The first page will be a situation where a person must decide if the use of an image from someone else's website would be copyright infringement, so if it would be against copyright. Then the second page will be your answer to the question, as well as some relevant research from 2 sources backing up your answer. So it's going to be a 2-page website. So first you're going to want to make a folder inside your Unit 3 folder. Make a folder called Copyright in your Unit 3 folder. And you're going to put the images in that. Make an images folder too in the Copyright folder. Now this says use external CSS. You don't have to use CSS. But you do have to use a bunch of different styles, and we'll talk about that. So you don't have to use CSS, but you do have to do some different styles, and the pages need to match as far as their styles. So I'm going to go in and show you how to do the setup on it first. So I'm going to go to Windows Explorer, Desktop, and of course yours is set up different from mine. But I'm going down to where my web design stuff is. So my Unit 3, and I have a folder called Copyright, and I have a folder in there called Images. Now I already did this work for a demo for the live session, so yours is going to be different from what I have in here, but the basic thing is that in your Unit 3 folder you need to have a folder called Copyright, and inside that Copyright folder a folder called Images. That's what you need to have. So make sure yours is set up that way. So the first thing we're going to do is get into NVU. And again, this is going to be 2 pages. So here I am on the first page. You can see the tab there. Then I'm going to do File, New, Create. So now I have 2 tabs open. Now this first one I'm going to go ahead and save. So I'm going to do File, Save As. And this first one, this is going to be the situation. So what is the situation that's facing me as far as copyright infringement? So that's called the situation. And of course that is the name that goes to the top of the web page, but the file I'm going to save it as is I'm going to save it as the situation. See, all small letters, all one word. I can put that in there to make it look like one word. So this is called the situation. It's in the Unit 3 folder. It's in the Copyright folder inside Unit 3, which is exactly where it's supposed to be. So the situation is the name of that file. Now this next one, I need to save this as File, Save As, and this is going to be Copyright Answer. Now Copyright Answer will go at the top of the web page when we make it into a web page. Now I need to save it Now I'm saving it as a file. It's an HTML file in the copyright unit inside the copyright folder inside Unit 3. That's exactly where it's supposed to go. So now I have my 2 files I'm working on. Now what I want to do is I want to keep this organized. So I want to use a table. So I'll go up to Table. You know, 2 rows, 2 columns. That should work. So here's the table. And you can see how wide this is. I'm going to go over here to the right, and I can drag this to make it narrow. So let me go ahead and make this table 500. And I want to, on the copyright answer one, I want to make the same size table. So table, and let's drag this to where it's 500 wide also. So we want these pages to look similar to one another. It was hard to get that on exactly 500. There we go. Now I made changes to both of these, so all I have to do is just hit Control S and it saves automatically. Go to copyright answer, Control S, and it saves automatically. And I know it's saved because watch what happens. If I put stuff in here, I just put blanks, and it reminds me I need to save this. So Control S, and now I've had it saved. So make sure you do that. Okay, now the first thing we need to do, this is going to be the situation. So whatever your situation is, so think about it. Now some situations for copyright, I'm going to go back to the course, and when we learn here about copyright, here's some situations. Does the source say you can use the information or images in your own work? If the website says yes, then that's no problem. Is it original work of somebody else's? Is it very old? Was it published by the government? Will you be using it for educational purposes? So these are the questions you ask. So you can create questions around these. Like on this first one, a question might be, a friend of mine is using a picture off the internet for a report on basketball, and he found these pictures on a photographer's website. Do I need to ask permission? So that would be the scenario. That's what you're creating as a scenario. So that would be a scenario for like this first one. A scenario for the second one. A friend of mine wants to use some words from a movie, some quotes from a movie in a report. Can she use those quotes from the movie? So that would be the scenario. And then of course the answer to that one would be she can use the quotes as long as she says the movie that it came from and the year and the producer and things like that. A scenario for this, because that's what you're creating in your question, in the situation. You're creating a scenario. So number 3, the scenario might be that I want to use some quotes from a book published in the early 1900s. Can I do it? Well, the answer would be yes, you can do it without citing, because most anything created before 1923 is considered public domain. A scenario for this one might be, I went to the government website and I found a 3-page document that I want to include in a report that I'm doing on taxes. Can I use that document for free or without saying where I got it from? And this says right here, then the answer would be yes, anything published by the government is public domain, meaning that you do not have to ask permission to use it. We'll be using material for educational purposes. So of course all these things were educational purposes, but the idea here is that anything in educational purposes, you still must say where you got it from, but you don't have to ask permission. So you can just say where you got it from. So use these questions to create what your scenarios might be. Okay, I'm going to go back to NVU. So here we are back at NVU, and you can see I'm on the situation page. So the situation might be, my friend is researching Chinese history and found a book that has, I'm a terrible typist, a book that has, actually I'll say found an image from a book printed in 1902. I'm setting up the scenario. And she used the image without permission. In her report. So that's the question. So now you also need to put an image. I've done this work, so I want to save. So I'm on the situation tab, so I'll just hit Control S and it saves automatically. So that's the situation. Now you do get an image, right? So I'm going to go to a Google search, and let's put well, here's some stuff. Here's some pictures I did on a search called Student Research. Maybe I want to use this picture right here. Well, let me find something more appropriate. Maybe like a young lady sitting at a computer or something like that. Maybe this is it. So I'll double click. Now I get to where the picture's from, right? And I will right click, save image as. And of course, where am I going to save this? I'm going to save this image into my images folder. Oh, I think that's the right. Insight, web design, portfolio, unit 3, copyright, and then the images folder. So this one I'm going to call Girl Research. Girl Research, save. Okay, so I saved that picture, and where did I get it from? Right here. So Control C. Now I'll go back to NVU, and I'm going to put that picture in here, but I have to put where I got the picture, right? So now I'll go right here, and I'll do Insert, Image, choose File, and I'm going to go find Unit 3, Copyright, Images, Girl Research, and this is image of girl doing research. That's the alt tag for it, right? I'll hit OK, and of course I have URL as relative. You have to make sure you choose that. And you can only choose that if your page has previously been saved. And hit OK. So there's the picture of the girl. There's where the information came from. Now the next thing I have to do, so this is my first page, this is the situation page. So now I have to go down here and I want to link, I want these pages to link back and forth. So I'm going to put go to the answer page. Then I highlight that. I want that to be a link. So I hit link up here. Now I go find where I want it to go to. Well, I know I want it to go to the page called The Answer, because that's the one that, actually not, the copyright answer. That's the page I'm doing. Then I'll hit open. And that's going to go to that place. Then I'll hit OK. So now I have that link right here. Go to the answer page. So this page is essentially finished. But what you need to do, you need to do some formatting and such. So you'll go right here, and maybe you'll change that to Arial. Maybe you want to change the text color. So you want to do these changes, but then when you make your next page, you want to make sure all that tech, that editing and everything is the same. So now I've made this page, and I'll do Control S to save. Now on the copyright answer, so now I go here and check this out, what I can do. Since I already have this red writing in here, I can just hit copy, then I'll go to here, paste, and I already have that in here. Now I can just go ahead and type my stuff, and it'll be read. Oh, so the answer to this scenario is that she does not have to ask permission because the information is from a book from before 1923, so it is in the public domain. But she should say what website she found the information. Let me fix my spelling here. Okay, so I've done that. So what I've done is I've answered this question. And then down here I will put a picture that relates to it. And then down here I need to go back to the question. That needs to be a link. So I'll highlight it, link, go choose the file, and that was the situation, was the original question. Okay, so what I've done, and I'll do Control S to save. So now what I've done is I've created all of this, and let's see if this works. So I'm going to click on the situation file in my folder, so it should open for me. Okay, so there's the situation file, and if I click on go to the answer page, it went to the answer page. So you can see how these pages click back and forth to one another. So getting back into NVU, what you're going to want to do again is make sure that these two pages look similar to each other, and you want to change the backgrounds of these cells. So it's like I could highlight all of this and right click, table cell background color, and I could put different background colors in the cells. So play around with that a little bit. So that was the whole table, but if I want to just do a different background color in this cell, I have that highlighted, right click, table cell, and this one I just want to do that cell. So maybe I want to put a dark blue just in that one cell. So you can see how you can make different changes. Now that's not ideal because the red and the blue react to each other. But you can see what you can do here. The other thing I can do is I can highlight this information in this one, hit center, so now it's centered in that box. Doesn't that look a little bit better? And I can even center these. Highlight that, center, so it actually looks a little bit better, doesn't it? Then hit Control S, and now I can go back in to check this out. If I go, let me go to the copyright answer one here, and let me make this centered. And Control S. Now if I go back to Internet Explorer where this was running, I can go here and just refresh this page, and you can see how my things have centered, how things have been changed a little bit, right? So that's what I'm going to leave you with. So I completed this whole page for you. Now on the correct answer page, you're going to need to put your picture in, and you'll need to put the URL of where you got your picture. Now the other thing you need to do is on this page, it also says, if we go back to the assignment, in this assignment it says that you need to use at least 2 sources for your information. Support your answer with relevant research using at least 2 sources. Cite your sources on page 2. So right here, this is page 2, the copyright answers. So what you would probably do is like right here, you type sources, and then you put your first source here, source 2, and of course when you did those, you would this would be the exact URL of where you got your information to help you know about copyright and fair use. This would be where you explored more information to learn about copyright use. So this would be copyright use source 1, copyright use source 2. Now those are going to be actual websites where you go and do research on copyright. Okay, and then you hit Control S to save. So again, these are going to be actual URLs of where you found information to help you with this. So there's page 1, page 2, you want to make sure it looks very similar to page 1, and then that's what this assignment is all about. Let's go back to the assignment, make sure we've done all that, so we've linked back and forth. One image on each page, citation for each image. Now this says link to the portfolio, don't worry about that. It also says submit portfolio. All you have to do is submit the Unit 3 folder because all the work we're doing in here is in Unit 3. But make sure you have your images in the right folders. And just to remind you, I'm going to go back here. Just to remind you that the way you're doing this, you have your Unit 3 folder, then inside Unit 3 you have a copyright folder, and inside the copyright folder you have your images folder, and you have the 2 files that you created, the 2 web pages, whoops, the 2 web pages you created, right? So that's what you have for this assignment. It's fairly easy to do. Just take your time, step by step, and you'll get through it with no problem. And this is a fairly easy 42 points. You can get this done in an hour. So thanks for watching. I look forward to your work coming in. Bye.